Hello everybody and welcome to the 2024 NFL mock draft, and happy holidays. All right, I know Thanksgiving just passed, and yeah, we got Christmas coming up. Should be a fun time to be in America. This mock draft will be pretty fun. There will be no trades. I already have it all done here. I'll be copying it in, showing you guys the process and my thought behind the picks, other paths to maybe take if you're the teams, you know, the player and why I took it, players I like especially I'll dive into, and why. Should be really fun. If you guys find yourselves enjoying the video, make sure to leave a like, go down, subscribe. It all helps out so much, and there should be a lot more draft content coming at you guys this whole week. Bears are on the clock here at numero uno, and we will take Caleb Williams here. He's just a very high ceiling player, makes all the platform or all the off platform throws, plays really well out of structure. He might not be as good or just as good in structure as Drake May is. Ceiling is just so much higher from Caleb Williams, and we've seen glimpses of him being Patrick Mahomes-esque. Not really saying that he will 100% be that player. His ceiling is Patrick Mahomes. You know, maybe 2020 Patrick Mahomes or 2021. I can't remember which one his worst season was, which is still a very good quarterback. So Caleb Williams will be the pick here at number one, pretty easily for me. For the Chicago Bears, get a franchise reset, whether you want to, you know, get rid of whatever his name is, Justin Fields, via his contract when that goes out, and or trade would probably be the most likely scenario in this spot if you're picking Caleb Williams number one. Number two, it pretty much becomes a no-brainer for the Cardinals here. Sure, you might want to take a franchise left tackle to play across your franchise right tackle, or what you hope to be a franchise right tackle that you took last year in Paris Johnson. You could team him up with Olu Fashanu. I have no problem with that, but I'm going to go Marvin Harrison Jr. This is one of the better receiver prospects we've had in some time. He is muy bien. Very, very good, especially in contested catch situations. He is probably the best receiver I've ever seen at the catch point. At the college level, he tracks the ball really well, very prototypical height, weight, and his speed and athleticism really isn't a question on the field. Now, will he test bad at the combine? Perhaps. He might be a little average there, but it wouldn't surprise me if he goes out and runs like in the low 4.4s. Even if he runs in the 4.5s, he is still a all-worldly prospect and will look to be taken very high in this draft, and that I have done so here at number two. Marvin Harrison Jr., worthy of a top 2 pick in this draft. Moving on to New England, we're taking Drake May. It's that simple, that easy. Mac Jones isn't your guy. 4 turnover-worthy plays in one half of football this last week. After a nice reset, you kind of you know set the standard, and you're like, okay, I need to be better, and that's the things you can't be doing, and you still go out there and do commit 4 turnover-worthy plays and 2 turnovers and 2 pretty bad interceptions. It's not what you like to see. Bailey Zappi isn't much better. He might be a little bit better than Mac Jones on like a consensus steady consistent meter there. Not really the deep ball with Bailey Zappi from what I remember watching him even last year. I haven't dove into him this year, but yeah, Drake May, pretty self-explanatory pick, or self-explanatory pick. Yeah, I guess I was right the first time around. Drake May is a good quarterback. He's pretty good, you know, athletically. He is a very mobile quarterback, especially within that pocket, and he can work out of you know, out of structure and also scramble pretty good. His elite arm strength definitely shows up, and he definitely has a high ceiling as well as Caleb Williams. The knock on these guys in college is their processing, the time to throw. It is severely different in the NFL than when you're in college, and Drake May and Caleb Williams both struggled here in this last season of college football with time to throw, and that will be a huge determining whether or it'll be huge in determining whether or not they'll be like elite prospects or not, if they can fix it up here and really show out these last few weeks. I know Caleb Williams started to kind of speed up his process, and I haven't really heard anything about Drake May, so we'll look to see how these prospects kind of finish out their college seasons. It's getting to an end, and if they can really show glimpses, that'll really take one's name over the other. You never really know. They're both in consideration for that number 1 overall pick. Just to me, Caleb Williams has a better, like, you know, just better overall ceiling. And Drake May, I don't know why it's not here on the Patriots, as it'd be New England. So yeah, basically Drake May taken at number 3, and we'll head to the second pick already for the Chicago Bears at number 4. For me, this is Olu Fashanu, blue chip left tackle, perhaps one of the better prospects in this class. There's a very stacked bunch, especially with the 2 quarterbacks up there, but I would say the 2 quarterbacks are down here, and you'd have Marvin Harrison Jr., Brock Bowers, and Olu Fashanu up here, and these quarterbacks are under them. But just for positional, whatever, you need quarterback, they're a lot more important, and that's why it pushes their positional value above others. And Olu Fashanu playing a very important position in the tackle spot as well is something to keep note of. He is very good, very agile as a mover, and as a pass protector. He's really good. Developed well this last season as a run blocker, really showing improvements there. And Olu Fashanu can be an elite prospect at the left tackle spot. Sure, you already have Braxton Jones if you're the Bears, and that is one of the biggest arguments against this pick right now. But no matter how you want to slice it, Lucas Patrick, maybe an expendable player. Maybe you can get rid of him. Cody Whitehair's a little bit on that older side, and Tevin Jenkins is a good guard. You might want to move Braxton Jones into guard. Whatever you choose to do, it will pay off. If you're getting Olu Fashanu at the end of the day, you're improving an offensive line, you're improving the team, you're improving the situation around Caleb Williams. There are definitely more important positions in an NFL team and on an NFL roster than tight end, but Brock Bowers is the clear-cut pick for me here. Sam Howell has definitely shown you enough, and I know Joe All is a crazy person to miss on, but you know what, Brock Bowers, if he wants to run a shallow 5-yard route, if I can talk, I've been out of the swing of things for a while here, but basically I'm saying if you want to snap the ball, your time to throw gets better with a security blanket like Brock Bowers. It also gets better with a guy like Joe Alt. You kind of weigh the two in their situations, but I would definitely rather have Bowers ceiling, and you can go get, early second round Joe Alt, not Joe Alt. You probably would look at guys like Jordan Morgan, Patrick Paul. I know Tyler Guyton. A lot of people are fans of Troy Fountain now, who probably projects to be more of a guard, or you might even be able to acquire tackle in free agency. So Brock Bowers, definitely my pick here, and to me it's not like an absolute no-brainer. Brock Bowers is just a sensational product of Georgia. I was gonna say prospect, but oh god, I'm fumbling with my words here. I haven't, like I said, done this in a while. And what Bowers does good as a player is overall catch the ball. He's got elite hands. He is a good route runner. He run blocks really well. He does a lot very well, and is your prototypical tight end, and might be a little bit better and polished than Kyle Pitts, especially as an all-around tight end, not just a vertical threat like Kyle Pitts is, and hasn't really been in the league. But whatever, we'll move on from the Arthur Smith wonders of the world and go to the Giants here. Now this pick might be bad for some of you guys, but I'm going with J.C. Latham, the Alabama right tackle, the highest projected right tackle in this draft. It does matter. You're not just going to flip what these guys do. They play very solid years in college. They learn a lot in college in terms of how to do how to play the position they play, especially offensive linemen. You're doing everything on the right side, and for you guys that might be your left, whatever. They do everything on one side, and then you're going to the next level and say, hey, I'm going to give you significantly harder competition and make you play opposite. It's like doing one thing right-handed versus left. It's not an ideal situation, and Evan Neal has certainly struggled at that right tackle spot. Kick him into guard, let him do what he does best, clear out in the run game. He is very good in that situation. You're giving Evan Neal a better base. I don't know how you feel about that draft pick. Might have feel like a bust at the end of the day, but if you could still turn J.C. Latham into a franchise tackle. I know Alabama produced Evan Neal for them last year, and you were hoping he was the guy. He so far hasn't looked the part, but could definitely see him moving down to guard. Not a flawless, transition, but I feel like there might be something there versus, something at tackle. You just need to do something to improve this offensive line, no matter who the quarterback is. They said they still believe in Daniel Jones, but the healing process of the ACL might hold them back a little bit. So they are definitely, or they didn't say definitely, but Joe Shane said that quarterback is a spot they'll look for in both free agency and or the draft process. So that'll be interesting to keep tabs on as we move on through the offseason. We aren't even there yet, but through the season and through the offseason. Moving on to the Buccaneers pick. Now, the guy I'm taking here isn't particularly rated high enough in this NFL mock draft database simulator, whatever you want to say. It is going to be Chop Robinson. I just like the player. Athleticism, lengthy, very good at getting, and he actually plays a base D end in the college or at the college level, despite being a little undersized. But you're gonna lose guys like Shaq Barrett to age and or free agency, and you just don't really have that next guy. Yaya Diaby is an amazing athlete. I don't know what his situation looks like next year. He'll obviously still be on roster. If you guys don't even know who I'm talking about, he's like a 5th or 4th round pick. Yaya Diaby is a defensive end with good size and great athleticism, starting to turn it on as of late. But you just don't really have a guy like Chop Robinson. I think he can improve a defensive line tremendously, and you pick him this high to do that. You're hoping that Penn State will keep producing these guys that just play so well at the next level. Odafe Owe recently coming on this year, actually playing really, really good ball. Joey Porter Jr., the rookie, even doing great things. And you could go down the list. I'm not going to, because honestly, no other names really come and spark my mind right now. But you guys get what I'm saying. Penn State has just been a very, very solid place for NFL talent. It's just a fact. Now, another spot you could take Joe Alt, but I would rather just have someone to support your D-line. Joe Alt I am a fan of, but maybe just have slowed down on his name as of late. But that doesn't say enough here about him, because he'll go to the Jets. Right tackle or left tackle is in need. Right tackle Mekhi Becton always hurt, and I know that doesn't really matter when you're playing the left, but I'm saying they might not actually extend him. Hopefully they do. That would not really sure up their right tackle spot, but it would I don't know, it would help them out, definitely, like 100%. Joe Tippmann's playing really well at center for them. You find a guard or two, and you get your experienced guys back on the O-line, and injuries don't really hurt you too much here. I mean, you're playing Newman right now. So many things are bad with this Jets O-line, and it only gets better with Joe Alt on it. Very solid in both pass. He's very solid. All right, I'll just put it that way. Pass pro, he's really good, and a very solid run blocker as well. Just a very solid tackle at 8 and headed to number 9 overall. Cornerback Kool-Aid McKinstry will go off the board to the Chargers in this scenario. Just can't have 7th rounders, I think it was, they had playing last night. Yeah, it was Dean Leonard, the 7th round pick, 236 by LA. That's kind of crazy. And then Michael Davis really hasn't been anything special. And then your next best guy is Asang Bassi. I've never heard of that guy even in my life. So you go Kool-Aid McKinstry, and there might be a few question marks with him heading into the combine, whether he runs in the low 4.5s or runs in the 4.4s. Either is expected, but I don't really know. His athleticism and top speed seems to lack versus like these top 10 cornerbacks where they have very solid speed. But McKinstry checks all the boxes. He's probably the best pick here for them at number 9, and the Chargers are probably happy with something like this. You do need interior D line guys in the 2nd round, like both Leonard Taylor, Devondre Sweat's just a beast. You have guys down the board that you might like as well. So there's depth at that position, and none really that are this highly touted. Sure, you might want to point at Drazon Newton. I don't know if you take him inside the top 10. Now, this to me is one of the best player to team fits, and that would be Talise Fuaga to the Tennessee Titans. If you want to keep Derrick Henry around another year, please do so. If you have Talise Fuaga, an absolute mauler in the run game, can run over just about anyone, even at the NFL level. It's just a nasty streak. He plays with such a high motor and a will to destroy whoever is in front of him, and that would be super fun. Even if Tyjae Spears steps into a starting role, Talise Fuaga is going to pave the way for any running back in that backfield. Talise Fuaga at number 10, very warranted and very well developed, and a huge riser this year. And Fuaga overall looks to be a great prospect. Will he get picked inside the top 10? Likely, but not definitely. Like some of these guys, like Brock Bowers, probably not exactly a top 10, because how much are people going to value that injury that he had earlier this season, as along with the positional value of a tight end. You know what I mean? So we'll keep going here with Talise Fuaga at tackle. And up with number 11, we've just talked about this guy. It was Drazon Newton. They need someone on the interior, and Drazon Newton could be that guy. Tyree Wilson really hasn't played quite that same twitch as he did in college. In the NFL, it's really screwed with the line. They took a chance on him last year, hasn't really panned out as of this year. If someone can teach that man to get his confidence back, play with that just twitch, the overall athleticism and speed, and just looked very good, and like a very it was like a Trayvon Walker sort of guy, someone that you looked at the ceiling and said, man, I want that guy on my team. Hasn't really panned out, and it won't always pan out with guys like that, and it might not at all for Tyree Wilson, but he'll be a viable edge for the next few years, or at least the rest of his rookie contract. Then you might look to move on from him, but until then, you're trying to give every vote of confidence as a coaching staff to a guy like that, so he could really believe in himself, believe in his game, and really take that next step. And he's going to need to take multiple steps even by the end of this year to show any promise for the next year coming up. And Jerzon Newton helps out a lot, taking maybe, a double team. I mean, you already have Max Crosby. There's a lot going on with this D-line if you get Jerzon Newton. He's better against the pass, if I remember correctly. So yeah, he's very effective against the pass, or yeah, I guess against the pass. And then run defense is also very, very good. Should be about a mid first rounder. I'm looking at his little draft profile here on NFLDraftBuzz.com if you guys would like to go see that. But yeah, just a very, strong player that can just power through. In a line, I would never underestimate a guy like Jerzon Newton and where he might go in the draft. So number 11 seems right here. I could see him going a little lower, a lot lower, and just a tad bit higher, probably not much higher than, the top like 8 picks. I don't know. He might find his way to like number 9 or wherever the Chargers might end up picking at the end of the season. So yeah, I don't know. I like the pick here for the Raiders, and I guess we'll move on to the Saints. Now, this might surprise a lot of people. I don't really care. You have Anders Pete starting at your tackle spot. That's not going to happen. Amarius Mims come in and be a guy. Your starting tackles are obviously Ryan Ramczyk and also Anders Pete. Yeah, you can flip Ryan Ramczyk. I'm pretty sure he's played left tackle at some point in his career, and or just mold Amarius Mims as a left tackle. You could do either or. He's a very moldable, big moldable piece of clay. Man's massive, 6'7", 340. Amarius Mims is huge. He slates to be a right tackle, obviously. Oh wait, no, he is a left tackle. Okay. So yeah, he would come in. He's already pretty good at pass blocking. He is still learning the game of football at 21 years old, and he is just average against the run. It says here. I would say that he's probably a little bit better against the run than you'd think. Just because of his size, and he'd come in immediately and be a viable tackle. Maybe you have Anders Pete still starting. It's like a Broderick Jones situation where because of injury he got to play, or he might just end up playing at the tail end of the season after he learns enough about football or enough about the NFL level of competition, whatever you want to say, by the end of the year for the Steelers. It might be the same thing going here with Amarius Mims. Very, very comparable players to Broderick Jones. And yeah, Amarius Mims, just not an expected pick here. I didn't even expect to make it, but when I was looking at it, it just looked right. And yeah, give New Orleans Amarius Mims, and it'll be Green Bay on the clock next. My favorite team, and I would love Cooper DeJean here, but I'm actually going to go with Nate Wiggins, someone that has all the traits, has the height, has the athleticism, that's for damn sure. Nate Wiggins is slated to be like a top 20 pick in this draft. If he isn't at this point, I'd be super surprised if something off the field comes up or testing wise happens in the combine, or if he doesn't do the combine, I could see him slipping. But Nate Wiggins has everything you like, prototypical, and has all the tools to be a great cornerback. So give me Nate Wiggins, Clemson corner. And yeah, I like him. My favorite team. Probably not my go-to, like I said. I like other guys on the board, but Nate Wiggins to shore up a corner spot after we lose Rasul Douglas. And Valentine's been a pleasant surprise, actually. So Valentine, we can't have Ballantyne playing, that's for damn sure. And how good is Eric Stokes going to be? How reliable, I should say. And Jair Alexander is even. Both those guys constantly injured. You don't really have security at the cornerback spot. So Nate Wiggins, very justified and good pick here at 13, and moving on to 14 with the Rams, where they need just about everything still. I gave them a high risk but very, very high reward, and almost a very good reward here in Laiatu Latu. Edge 2 off the board for me. I only have Chop Robinson ahead of him at this point, I think, if I remember correctly. I know Jerzon Newton's off now, but yeah, Laiatu Latu, same thing as Jalen Phillips, who unfortunately actually just tore his Achilles up. That was annoying. just looking at that whole thing, that's just annoying. You hate seeing that. How many people have torn their Achilles on that turf? Not blaming it on the turf. He's just, I mean, come on. There's a lot that goes into it. I'm not going to talk about it right now. But Laiatu Latu, medically retired from the University of Miami. I accidentally just knocked my desk, by the way, so sorry about that. But medically retired from, I believe, the University of Miami, goes to UCLA, where he is medically cleared to play football again. Comes out and looks like the best edge rusher in this class. It's probably not close. A little bit on the older side. Does kind of limit a few things for a few teams. I know teams don't really care about age if you have a prospect as good as Laiatu Latu in front of you, but with the medical issues and the age, it might drop his draft stock a little bit. And Laiatu Latu off at 14, very all-around good edge, plays with good power, good speed, good athleticism, good agility, great both power and agile, more technical moves, if you want to say, he's good with his hands and whatever. So yeah, Laiatu Latu at 14 almost gives you a one of the better value picks in the draft for sure. There's a lot of concerns about Laiatu Latu and question marks. Moving on to Cincinnati, where I had them taking, well, what's worked for them a lot is one of the LSU receivers in Jamar Chase. You're going to take another one here with Malik Neighbors. Really good size, great after the catch. Routes are good. I wouldn't put him in that Marvin Harrison tier, but Malik Neighbors is a fun prospect. Good size and 6 foot 200. I thought he might be a little bit taller, and he does look a little taller at 6 foot, which he might not be at this point. Most recently ran a 4.4 flat in his 40. That was the most recent one he ran, and I don't know how recent that was, but at only 20 years old, his speed can still develop, actually get a little bit faster. So yeah, they have him as a 100% deep threat. His intermediate routes and short receiving are all at 100%. That's like really, really good. He looks really good. All right, I'll put it that way. Malik Neighbors should be a pretty good guy, whether or not you want to play him on left or right side. It doesn't really matter. I'm pretty sure he could even still play the slot just fine. I wouldn't actually put that to test at the NFL level. I would let him cook on the outside for sure. So Malik Neighbors, you're giving him, this is especially if you lose T. Higgins, by the way, too. But Trent Irwin finding a way onto the field. Ayushavas has been a fun little surprise for them, playing in a certain role. He does a nice job, but he's not the best all-around receiver. I think it's about like a mid-round pick for them last year out of Princeton, and now you're going to spend a top 15 pick on Malik Neighbors, and this pick projects to be a little bit higher, where you might want to take someone else, but for now I think Neighbors really fits in here. Next pick, you're getting a corner, you're getting a safety, you're getting a nickelback, you're getting a DB, a absolute baller. Cooper DeJean. He's been falling down draft boards. I don't care. He's a good player. Give me Iowa's Cooper DeJean, who, like I said, can move back to safety where you are aging. Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. You might look to get one of the later safeties that are pretty good. I like Kalen Bullock. Javon Bullard is kind of a question mark for me, but Andrew Munkaba is like the next one, or like the only one left on this tier. So it kind of goes these two right here, Nubin and Kinchins, and then in the next tier there's probably Kalen Bullock, and then a tier below that Javon Bullard and Munkaba, and then way below them like Rod Moore, Bishop, James Williams, kind of in their own. So yeah, I don't know. There's definitely ways that teams are going to evaluate here, but in my opinion, Buffalo needs DB, and that is Cooper DeJean. He is a defensive back. He'll play boundary for you. Like I said, he'll play nickel and or safety. He can move all over the field, and a very exciting player. And we are officially halfway through this thing. Moving on to Arizona's next pick. I'm not particularly a huge fan of Dallas Turner. Still warrants a first-round pick, though. A good player and should go in the first round. I'm not saying he's like a second or third round talent. I'm just saying I'm not as high on him as others are. But Dallas Turner, give me, just a good edge rusher at, a little undersized, but at 17, you can get Dallas Turner here and feel very good about it. So Dallas Turner at 17, good value pick again. Jared Verse is solid. I wouldn't say he's tremendous or a high upside player at this point. He has a very fun story coming from, I think, either junior college or just D2, whatever. He wasn't playing amazing football or with an amazing team, and then Florida State, picked him out of the whatever. And Jared Verse comes, picked him out of bad football to make him play good football. The biggest thing with Dallas Turner is basically his athleticism and just quick twitch, and like I said, a little undersized, so he might actually end up getting a little slower, might not accelerate as fast if he gets bigger or if he chooses to put on a little bit of weight, which is fine. I'm just fine with the player at 17. To the Arizona Cardinals, Dallas Turner, a tremendous pick. Moving to Denver, another one of these surprise picks. Give me Terrion Arnold, someone a lot of people like and a lot of people don't. I see him going in the second round. You know, maybe he could move up into this first round, but I have I've been looking at him, and multiple people have him actually pretty high. And if he does as well through the offseason process as I think he will, he could be a top 18 pick, which he ends up going here. I just didn't like the other players on the board. Kamari Lassiter probably would have been like a better pick than Terrion Arnold. Kalen King, not a fan of. Denzel Burke, you know, up and down. Quinyon Mitchell, actually someone that might find himself in a first round pick by when all said and done. It sounds crazy. I mean, Toledo corner, you don't really think much about him, but if you watch him, you have some fun. TJ Tampa, someone I thought would be a lot higher than 67 in this mock draft simulator, and just has been falling down draft boards this whole college season, so probably not playing his best football. And here at 18, you're getting Terrion Arnold, listed at 6 foot 196, so you would expect that to be 6 foot, or I mean even 5'11 to 6'1 to 200 pounds coming out. He is still generally younger, at like he'll be 21 when he comes out of the draft here. A very solid athlete. He's actually good breaking down against the run, and someone that just has a good feel, plays well in press, just has a lot of things you like. His cover skills are fine, does a good job not really getting flagged. There's some things on him you can read about it, but you can also look at the player, look at the intangibles, and see the caliber of competition he goes at you know, at a place like Alabama, where they face the best of the best, and he holds up. So Terrion Arnold is the pick here at 18. And at 19, for the Atlanta Falcons, always a fun spot to draft. And oh boy, I had some fun with this one. I'll give you guys a quick second here before I actually pick the pick to go down in the comments and guess. I'll give you guys a hint. It's a quarterback. Which quarterback do I pick? Is it JJ McCarthy? Is it Michael Penix, Bo Nix, Quinn Ewers, Jane Daniels, Michael Pratt, Carson Beck, who probably goes back to school for another year, Jordan Travis? Tragic injury for him. He'll probably end up being like a UDFA now. As much as I hate it, I think he's a great quarterback, especially at that college level, through that system. Whatever. It is Jane Daniels at the spot. Imagine that. He is so good. I don't know where people's minds are at not putting this guy in a first round mock. He has everything. He improves every year. He runs for over 100 yards a game. You know, nowadays, I don't know how he really started the season, but these last like 4 games, he's been off the charts. And he's passing better than ever against good competition. He plays at LSU, another great school that is known to face, you know, obviously there's some duds in there, but come on, Jaden Daniels, you talk yourself into it. Go look at highlights, go read about him, go look at draft profiles, multiple if you'd like, and go look at his history. He has only gotten better, and that trend is so good of getting better every year. Teams, I can't imagine how much guys like that. You know, you look at scouts and you look for things to like about a player, and that would probably be one of the top things on my, you know, if I was a scout, which I'm obviously not, that would be my thing. Do you get better? Do you stick out a spot like Jared Verse kind of has from last season to this season, still playing great football, and perhaps falls a little too far in this mock draft, already getting to 20. Jaden Daniels, are you kidding me? Get some of that. Atlanta, get on that Jaden Daniels hype train, and it'll make you look good when he gets drafted top 20 overall. So I was just talking about that plays great football still, just really hasn't taken that next step and shown that he can get better than he already is, which is fine. Maybe someone worthy of a top 15 pick versus a top 20, just edging out the top, you know, 19, get into that 20 spot, and you go Jared Verse, a good player. Just an overall solid, like another one of these guys. Like I used it earlier with Joe Alt, I know that. And you know, Cooper DeJean's a very solid player, should be good. Leatu Latu, probably not comparable here because Latu's a lot better. You just look at other guys. Kool-Aid McKinstry's pretty solid, and JC Latham might be, you know, someone a little bit more on that question mark. There's just so many players in this class that you can point at and say they'll probably do good. There's about an 80% chance that they'll translate in a good spot, or they'll translate to a good spot in the NFL. And then there's some guys that are total gambles. I'm gonna go Michael Penix Jr. Just someone that can take command of an offense. He's, you know, playing great football at Washington. Perhaps your what's the freaking Heisman? Perhaps your Heisman, and Michael Penix Nix Jr. is going to be the quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings for me here. And then Seattle at 22. Do I do it? Did I do it? You did. So I did go Bo Nix. A lot of, I wouldn't say Russell Wilson traits, but hear me out. The arm talent there is obvious with Bo Nix at 6'2", 217. You might want him to be a little bit taller, but prototypical size still. And like I said, that arm talent is so apparent. He is very mobile. He knows how to process pretty good. He has played great football at Oregon. I'm defending this pick all the way. Bo Nix, I talked myself into it a little bit more. I started the process not really liking him. And then I was like, okay, I can see it. And then I was like, okay, he's solid. And then I was like, okay, he's good. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. So Bo Nix probably only gets better for me as the process goes on, especially as he tests. If he runs a good 40 time, it'll only rise his draft stock, as he is kind of a dual threat type of quarterback, is mobile, can move, goes through his progressions well, avoids pressure pretty often. His release is very good. It goes along with that arm talent conversation about Bo Nix, and I think you like that. And to play under Geno for a year or two, it would, you know, project well for Bo Nix to be a top 22 pick here to the Seattle Seahawks. I think the fit's good. It shows glimpses of, you know, getting out of pocket, throwing on the run. Maybe not the same mobility as Russell Wilson, but Bo Nix is in the same wagon, at least in the same realm, same ballpark. You're not really comparing the player one-to-one as Bo Nix. I do like the player. It's just this is a little higher. This is a little high for my taste. I like to put him, you know, early second or late first. This is still in the middle of the first to like getting to that later point. It's not exactly where I'd have Bo Nix, but I just like it a little bit too much here to the Seattle Seahawks. And yeah, I don't know. I like the fit. I think it's a need. And sure, there's other things you can look at for Seattle, but Bo Nix is, if all goes well, he could project to be a pretty good quarterback. Pittsburgh at 23. We're looking at them in primetime, I believe, right? I think they got a primetime game. I could be mistaken. Anyways, Pittsburgh obviously fires Matt Canada. They come out and throw for over but their offense goes for over 400 yards for the first time in like 50 something games. I think 53 maybe is the number. I don't care. What I care about is the drop from Deontay Johnson, his attitude and his inconsistencies, especially in the red zone. Rome Odunze is a totally different guy. Sure, you already have a go up and get it guy in George Pickens, but Rome Odunze is a lot more complex than that and probably should go way higher than 23. I know receivers drop for me in this. They like almost always do. There are certain drafts when I'm like, okay, there's a bigger need here, or positional value, or I like John Mechie here for, you know, Houston, or oh, I like Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, and Calvin Austin. No, it can get better with Rome Odunze, and imagine what that does for Kenny Pickett and his confidence. Like, you get a guy like Rome Odunze who can obviously go up and get it. He is pretty good down the field as a deep threat and as an athlete. If you do want to nitpick, Rome Odunze shows like inconsistencies in some terms of his game. He isn't a overall finished product, or he's not all the way polished, whatever you want to say. He does show good awareness, like generally, to just get open, find open spaces and zones and stuff like that, and something that pops out with a guy like Rome. So yeah, I like the player, I like the pick, I like the fit. And let's move to Houston at 24. I'm not as high on Keon Coleman as other people are, so give me Keon Coleman at 24. He still finds his way into the first round here, and I know a lot of people are frustrated that I probably have him this low considering, but Keon Coleman hasn't been talked about as enough, not enough, but as much as others, and also just profiles to be a jump ball get it, or a jump ball go and get it sort of receiver for me. So Keon Coleman at number 24 will be the guy for the Houston Texans, because it really just doesn't have, like, there's no one at Houston same skill set as him. Tank Dell is a small, like, that guy's been playing out of his mind, by the way, too, and his connection with CJ Stroud just seems so apparent. But different type of receiver with a smaller guy like Tank Dell. Sure, Nico Collins has that height. He is a little bit more tall and shows a little bit lengthy, but he's not the same, like, just go up and get it. Show me your vertical, Keon Coleman. If you're ever in a in a hole, you need a big play, 3rd and 17, you know to throw it up to Keon Coleman, and he has probably a better than 50% chance of going up and get it, no matter who the guy on him is. And that's the type of receiver you'd like, especially as a younger quarterback who still looks to command a middle of the row team. It obviously has been a little bit better than middle of the row this season, But as far as being honest goes, I think that the Texans roster still needs a little bit of work. And that being said, Keon Coleman can still help CJ Stroud while they progress that team. At 25, I don't know where they have... Okay, so he is a tackle. He's probably projected to be either a guard or center at the next level, but still can play tackle. Give me Graham Barton. Just Miami needs O-line, and Graham Barton plugs all the holes. He could play center, he could play guard, and like I said, he could probably still play tackle at the next level and play it pretty well. Graham Barton is a pretty good pick here at 25, in my opinion. I don't think a lot of people are going to like this. It's a boring pick as well. Maybe you like Jatavion Sanders, the tight end here, a little bit better. And the next best guy is projected at Cade Stover at 114. It's kind of funny. But yeah, there's a few tight ends I like for like 4th and 5th round picks as far as, Luke Lackey goes. There's a few others that I like in this class as well that aren't really listed up here. I do like Dallin Holker too, or Holker. So there are some fun picks here for sure, but I just went with the most fundamental, and that is Graham Barton. Valuable position, and can play all those spots, which I like. So Graham Barton at 25. 26, this is a home run pick. You're probably still going to have Brandon Cooks around next year if you're the Dallas Cowboys, so it doesn't really show, like, you don't shy away from Emeka Egbuka just because of that, but just because I think Xavier Worthy is going to stand out so much during this offseason process, I'm going to take Xavier Worthy here. Crazy, right? But you're going to keep him in the state of Texas, and he's such a good athlete. He's got length. He is a little bit light, I will give you that, but he's got length, he's got height, but his weight is a little lacking. It lacks a little bit. But Xavier Worthy is an extreme deep threat that can still catch through traffic and still run some pretty good routes underneath, and he can also stretch the field better than almost anyone in this class, I would say. So Xavier Worthy, definitely a fun player, and I think he will only rise at this point. No matter how bad, or even if there's a serious injury, he'll obviously fall a little bit, or if there's an injury at all, he'll fall. But to this point, other than injury, he probably won't fall. He'll only rise, especially as the combine comes around. Such an athlete, such a speedy receiver, guy with such a quick first step as well. Nice getting off the line, nice getting down the field. Give me Xavier Worthy at 26 of the Dallas Cowboys, who can only stretch that offense out a little bit more. CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup really hasn't played to the level you'd like, and Brandon Cooks can only be around for so much longer. You got some holes, especially one at wide receiver, in my opinion, when it comes to this team. That is very good. All right, I hate the Cowgirls, but Xavier Worthy, one of my favorite players in this class, going to them shows I'm not biased. At 27, someone I think is nice, Denzel Burke, only rising at this point, or only has risen as the year has gone on. I think his eligibility is out after this year, if not maybe one more year, but you probably want to declare for the draft if you are Denzel Burke. He's a solid athlete, he's a solid player, good. His zone can be a little inconsistent, but I like what he brings with prototypical size, and can play man pretty well. So give me Denzel Burke. I just kicked the shit out of my desk. Jacksonville picking up next. I went back to, you saw receiver at 26 to Dallas, and Keon Coleman, Rome Odunze. A lot have been going off the board recently, and that trend will continue with Emeka Egbuka. Zay Jones running into a little bit of legal trouble. Christian Kirk is in inside, like he typically plays the slot for him, if I remember correctly. Emeka Egbuka could still play outside. There's some inconsistencies there with with the big guy, Calvin Ridley. As of late, he's been really good, but throughout the whole middle of the season, he was basically gone, non-existent, etc. Like, he's just not there. And Emeka Egbuka can often give a spark to the Ohio State team on the other side of Marvin Harrison Jr. still finding a way to get the ball, because he just gets open. He's a polished receiver. He's good. He probably profiles best in the slot, but you can't play him outside and probably have no struggles there. Emeka Egbuka, a very solid player. Once again, he's not like a JSN V2, but a lot of guys thought that those two kind of compared similarly. Now, we have a unexpected pick. I don't think I've seen this before. Kansas City Chiefs at 29. I'm going to have them taking Braylon Trice. He is good against the run. He is really good against the pass. They have George Karlaftis, yes, and on the other side of him, they have Charles Omenihu, Mike Dana, Like, there's no one really special or flashy. They have been rolling with guys like Melvin Gordon, like 1 year ago, whatever it was. And you could really shore up that other side with Braylon Trice, spending a first-round pick on what I think is not a George Karlaftis 2.0, but a guy that can set the edge as long as get after the passer as well. You aren't like, you could still obviously have him in a rotation with guys like Mike Dana, who consistently play well for you. They don't really take you over the top. And Charles Omenihu, the same thing. I don't know how good he is against the run, but I hear he's actually pretty good against the pass. So Braylon Trice, maybe not the exact needed thing, and Rashee Rice, I'm a huge fan of, but I don't like the positional value. Adonai Mitchell, sure, that's a guy. Xavier Legette, who I actually quite love, early second-round pick for me. I don't think he's even worthy this high. Ladd McConkey's really good. I love Johnny Wilson. None of those guys really trump Braylon Trice to the Kansas City Chiefs at this spot. So that being said, at 29, that'll be set. And at number 30, Kamari Lassiter is the pick at this spot. You need corner. Georgia has gone against very good players and people and receivers, and I only expect that to, go deeper as the season goes on. Georgia, perhaps in the playoffs, number one team, whatever, Kamari Lassiter is a good player, very solid player. At number 30 to the San Francisco 49ers, where they just need a little bit more consistency at the cornerback spot. Charvarius Ward commits what should be so many penalties. He gets away with quite a bit. I watch him every weekend. Not exactly a fan, but I watch him. He is a little light, though, looking at it now. At 6 foot 180, he might measure to be 5'11 or even 6'1, kind of in that same range. Could even be smaller. Teams like to be a little generous with the team. They like to be nice to the guys and say, oh yeah, you're 6 foot, when he weighed at 5'10, or weighed in at 5'10, whatever. You guys get what I'm saying here. A little lackey as an athlete, but if you're fundamentally good and playing on a Georgia team, I don't think that matters. And that really stands out here. He's 20 years old, and the fact that he worked his way to start on a Georgia defense really shows you how good this guy is. I like Kamari Lassiter at 30. I keep hitting my desk, by the way, so I'm sorry if you guys keep hearing thonks and bonks. Sorry, I am. And Kalen King, someone I don't really like, had a tough day against Marvin Harrison Jr., but let's be real, everyone will. Everyone has. Kalen King is the pick here at 31. Kalen King actually weighed in at 5'11", 191. He is a junior. He's looking to be about 21 and a half by the time he gets drafted, probably. So Kalen King, I don't like him in the first round, but consensus would have it, and Kalen King will be the guy off the board here at 31 for the Baltimore Ravens. I know I was raving about Penn State earlier, but I just don't see the same thing here with Kalen King, and I know a lot of people that think the same way as me. I don't really think a lot of people are on like the Kalen King train. There are people who think of him as a consensus top 25 pick or 25 player in this class, and I'm just not there yet. So Kalen King might grow on me as the process goes on, but right now he is the 31st overall pick in a draft, which is still damn good. And Philadelphia up next. What did I do for them? That's right, I went out on a limb here and took Quinyon Mitchell. I know you guys probably are like, what? You did what and why? But come on. If you guys don't know who he is, learn the guy's name. Quinyon Mitchell, Toledo corner. And this is NFL Draft Buzz, by the way. That's what this says up here. I know you guys can't see it. It's like a cropped out screen. But Quinyon Mitchell passes the eye test and has some pretty good things going his way. Very good cover corner. Not exactly amazing against the run, but yeah, I just give you guys a chance here to look at his little draft profile. 6 foot, 196, is a junior. Means he's a little bit more experienced. He'll be coming out a little bit older than some of the guys that perhaps went ahead of him. Weighed in at 6 foot. Like I said, teams are a little generous with that, especially Toledo, who are looking to maybe put someone up there. And yeah, there's just things. And obviously you don't like the 4.5 40, but that might be a little outdated. We don't really know, because with a team like Toledo, they probably don't have constant, feedback in terms of like a athletic program. So Quinyon Mitchell is the pick for me, or I guess pick for the Eagles. I don't know. They need corner, and I think Quinyon Mitchell's name will only grow, and kind of a fun pick at the end of the draft just to put him in there as an honorable mention. Same guy as Jaden Daniels, or same thing as Jaden Daniels, with a guy I really like and think he'll get drafted higher than people think. Just get his name out there, make a little bit more people look at him, and yeah, that'll be it for me. Thank you for watching. If you guys enjoyed, go ahead and leave a like, go down and subscribe. Like I already mentioned, it'll help you a lot. Happy holidays to you and your family, and yeah, that'll be all. See you guys. Deuces!